This is Taryn for One on Hip Hop News. Marion Suge Knight's former attorney could be looking at 5 life sentences in prison for his role in a massive scheme to steal millions of dollars from the federal government. Just weeks after Thaddeus Culpepper was arrested for trying to bribe a witness for Suge, the lawyer was busted for more activity. In October of 2018, federal prosecutors charged Thaddeus Culpepper and held him without bail after he had the audacity to deposit a fraudulent $1 million check. The feds say Culpepper was involved in an ongoing scheme between April 2015 and August 2017, in which he opened 3 different lawyer trust accounts at 3 different banks. Culpepper allegedly deposited a total of $1,312,272.21 in 21 phony tax refund checks, including a single check for $1,003,814. The disgraced lawyer was supposedly outworking his scam just weeks after he became the target of law enforcement in the high-profile murder case involving Marion Suge Knight. In 2015, Suge Knight was charged with the murder of a man named Terry Carter, who was run over by the Death Row Records founder during a dust stop with Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and others as they shot a promotional spot for the movie Straight Outta Compton. Thaddeus Culpepper was one of the 15 lawyers Suge employed to mount his defense. In January of 2018, Culpepper and another lawyer were busted for working with Suge to bribe witnesses to provide testimony in favor of the rap mogul. In September of 2018, Suge ended up taking a plea deal in return for a 28-year sentence for the murder of Carter. Thaddeus Culpepper could be facing way more time than his former client Suge Knight. Now he's facing 500 years in prison for 7 counts of bank fraud, 1 count of aggravated identity theft, 17 counts of theft of government property, and 17 counts of passing forged treasury checks. Thaddeus Culpepper is planning to go to trial. Make sure to like or subscribe on YouTube and check out ONEONHIPHOP.com for more information. This is Taryn for One on Hip Hop News. Clive Davis sat down with the Los Angeles Times to discuss the music industry just a week before the annual Grammy Awards ceremony Sunday night. During the interview, Davis discussed Whitney Houston and her legacy. Houston was selected this month to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When asked about the honor, Davis said the pop star eminently deserves a place in the hall, pointing out that the Rolling Stone listed Houston's debut album on the 500 greatest albums of all times list. Davis also put Houston up there with Aretha when it comes to her influence on the industry. Elsewhere, the music executive discussed his disappointment in the 2 most recent documentaries on the singer, saying the story of Whitney Houston has not yet been told. Davis mentioned the 2018 documentary Whitney and opened up about the good feeling he had prior to the release of the documentary. Davis gave director Kevin McDonald a 5-hour interview as well as access to archived Houston material for the doc. But instead of what Davis had hoped for the documentary, he saw that it focused way more on an allegation that Houston was sexually abused as a child, instead of on her career. Make sure to like or subscribe on YouTube and check out ONEONHIPHOP.com for more information. This is Taryn for One on Hip Hop News. Alpo Martinez, whose criminal exploits were depicted in the cult classic Paid in Full, was shown getting love by a group of people in Harlem recently. Videos have surfaced of Alpo since his release from prison in 2015 after being sentenced to 35 years of various drug charges, 14 counts of murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. He was accused of killing his friend Rich Porter, who Alpo claims was holding back drugs and overcharging him. While facing the death penalty or life in prison without the chance of parole, Alpo turned informant and testified against his associates, including his hitman Wayne Silk Perry. Perry was given 5 consecutive life sentences without chance of parole because of Alpo's testimony. Police arrested Alpo Martinez on November 6, 1991. He was hit with various drug charges, along with murder and conspiracy to commit murder, including the murders of D.C. hustler Michael Frey Salters and Brooklyn dealer Dominico Benson. Though having done the deeds and knowing the rules of the game, Alpo couldn't handle what he was facing: life behind bars or possible death sentence. The Washington Post reported that as Alpo, 25, appeared in court after his November 1991 arrest, sniffling loudly as tears welled up in his eyes. Alpo began to cooperate with the federal government almost immediately. Along with telling everyone he could, Alpo confessed to committing 14 brutal murders. Alpo's biggest betrayal was telling on Wayne Silk Perry, the man who protected him on the streets with unyielding loyalty. Alpo told the government that Wayne killed Gary Terrell, infamous drug lord in the D.C. area, and Evelyn Carter, hooker that could provide evidence Perry killed Michael Frey Salters. On March 5th, 1993, based on Alberto Martinez's cooperation, the feds brought a 27-count indictment against Perry. The indictment included the murders of 9 people in the furtherance of a continuing criminal enterprise, racketeering conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine, retaliating against a witness, kidnapping, and robbery. Wayne would be the first person in D.C. to face the death penalty since 1971. Perry negotiated a plea deal without cooperating with the government. Wayne pled to 5 counts of murder in the furtherance of a continuing criminal enterprise for the killings of Domenico Benson, who was shot as he shook Alpo's hand because he allegedly slapped Alpo's wife in a previous altercation with her. Evelyn Carter, who was allegedly cooperating with police, she was shot in the head at close range, leaving Constitution Hall. Yolanda Burley, Alvija Hopkins, and Gary Terrell. In return for his guilty plea, some of his relatives and friends were not indicted, and others received lesser sentences. Instead of the death penalty, Perry was sentenced to 5 consecutive life sentences without parole to serve his time in federal prison. Alpo was sentenced to 35 years in prison under federal witness protection. Make sure to like or subscribe on YouTube and check out ONEONHIPHOP.com for more information.